Hey everybody, this is Zippo, the Sucky Gamer, coming to you with an informational video. That's right, an informational video, and that's why the audio quality probably absolutely sucks. I'm using the microphone on my laptop and the webcam on my laptop so that I can show you some things. Because in this informational video, I'm going to be showing you how to set up the Splitfish FragFX with the mouse and nunchuck that I got from my PlayStation 3, but this will work for the Xbox 360 version as well. I'm going to show you how to hook it up to your next-gen console, the Xbox One or PlayStation 4. So a lot of you may have one of these FragFX Sharks, one of these Splitfish devices, and you want to hook it up to your next-gen console because they haven't come out with a new one yet. But also some of you may be wondering, how do I hook up a mouse and keyboard to my next-gen console and play video games? I want to actually play my game with a mouse and keyboard. Because as we know, we can plug in a mouse and keyboard to our consoles, but we can't play games with them. Well, I'm going to show you how to hook that up. The other thing that you can do is you can do a crossover. And in my particular case, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking a PlayStation 3 FragFX Shark, and I'm going to be hooking up to my Xbox One console. You may be wondering, how the heck do I do that? Well, here's the equipment that you're going to need. Obviously, you need the Splitfish FragFX dongle with the nunchuck and the mouse. You'll need a Xbox One controller or a PlayStation 4 controller if you're hooking it up to a PlayStation. But you need a wired controller, okay? Now this is actually, the Xbox One has its own cable that you can, be wired in or wireless. I almost said unwired. But you will need it wired up for our purposes. Okay, you're going to need it connected here. You'll also need a laptop. You will need to actually have your laptop on during your gaming experience because it's actually going to act as an intermediary between your console and your FragFX Splitfish Shark. So, there's one more piece of equipment you will need to buy. And I know some of you are like, oh crap, I gotta buy some hardware. I just want to do this for free. Well, I understand your concerns, but really, this little device here that I've got in my hand is $60. It's pretty inexpensive. And when you consider what it can do, $60 is a really great deal. This device is called the CronusMAX. Some of you may have heard of it. You're probably actually watching this video because you own one and you need to know how to hook this up, because this is a how-to video, right? But for those of you just kind of on my channel, you don't really know what's going on here, this is a CronusMAX device, and this CronusMAX is a special adapter. This adapter can adapt any one of your controllers for your Wii, your PlayStation 3, your Xbox 360, your Xbox One, your PlayStation 4, and you can even use like mouse and keyboard or a special Bluetooth controller that you may have set up for your computer. You can use all of those controllers to any one of your consoles or your computer. Using this device, you can hook it up, okay? And that's pretty sweet. Not only that, but you can do special scripting with this device, which will modify your controller. So rather than going out and buying an actual modded controller, you can use a regular Xbox One controller and modify it for $60 using this with any sort of special modifications. You can actually script your own mods, but there are certain special packages, game packs, that are completely free. You don't have to buy them, that you can use to plug in with this, so you can modify your controller without actually buying a modded controller. All that for $60, man. This thing is an absolute steal at $60. So, anyway, you need to get a CronusMAX in order for this to work, and I highly recommend it. If you ever want to play any one of your consoles with any one of your favorite controllers. So if you like the Dualshock PlayStation 3 and you want to use it on your Xbox One, you can do that. If you want to use your Xbox 360 controller and play it on your PlayStation 4, you can do that. Okay, it's really, really endless. Even if you like the Wii remote and you want to use that, you can do that if you like. Okay, so how do you do the setup? Enough talk, enough gab about what everything is in this special device. How do you hook it up? Well, the first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go out and download this special software called GTuner Pro. You get it from ControllerMax.com/downloads. It's a free download, doesn't cost anything. You're going to go ahead and download it, and you're going to go ahead and install. So at this point, if you haven't already downloaded and installed it, pause the video and do that right now. Okay, so you've got it installed, and go ahead and open up GTuner Pro. And while that's happening, I'm going to take and show you how to set up your CronusMAX. You're going to take the CronusMAX and the cable that comes with it, and on the side of the CronusMAX is a little mini USB port. You're going to take the mini USB side of the cable that comes with it, and you're going to go ahead and plug that into the CronusMAX. You're going to take the other end of the cable, and you're going to plug that directly into your laptop. Okay? So now I've got the CronusMAX plugged into my laptop using the mini USB cable. And now that that's all set up and I've got GTuner Pro on, I'm going to go up to Tools, and I'm going to go to GTuner Update, and I'm just going to make sure I have the latest software. If you don't have the latest software, go ahead and install it. Then you're going to go up to Tools, you're going to go to Firmware Update, and again do the same thing. Make sure you have the latest firmware update of the CronusMAX. Okay? So now that I've made sure that I'm completely up to date, I'm now going to go up to Plugins, and I'm going to go to Plugin Manager. And on the Plugin Manager, you're going to want to get the Max Aim DI plugin. So make sure you've got that and install that. Now that that's installed, what you can do is you can go ahead and take your Splitfish FragFX, and you can go ahead and plug the dongle. You know what? I'm sorry, before I begin with that, first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the switch on your FragFX Splitfish dongle is set over to the mouse and keyboard side. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but there's a console controller version, and then there's the keyboard and mouse version. You want to make sure it's switched over to the keyboard. Then I'm going to go ahead and plug that into another USB port on my laptop, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on my Splitfish mouse and nunchuck. Okay, and I'm going to open up that Max Aim DI plugin, and you'll see that we've got, it's essentially a mapper. It maps different key combinations of your mouse and keyboard to the controller of your choice. So I'm going to go ahead and select under Layout Options. I'm going to unlock the editing here, and I'm going to do File, New Empty Layout. Okay, and my new layout's fine. By default, it opens up as a PlayStation 3 controller, the Dualshock, and I'm going to go to Layout Options, and I'm going to select a new controller, and it's going to be the Xbox One. So now I'm looking at the Xbox One layout here, and you can see everything is empty as far as the mappings go. So we need to go ahead and go through a mappings process. Now, when you plugged in your Splitfish FragFX, you probably had to install some sort of driver. That's perfectly fine. Go ahead and do that. It may have been the same thing with the CronusMAX when you plugged it in. The Windows may have needed to install that. Make sure you're running at least Windows 7. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. You need to be running at least Windows 7 or higher. I'm actually running Windows 8 right now, 8.1, and it works perfectly fine. Okay, now that the mouse is plugged in from, for my FragFX Splitfish, I've got mouse control here of my laptop, which is perfectly fine. That's exactly what you want. That means that the nunchuck and the mouse are actually in control and acting as if they were the keyboard and mouse of your laptop, and that's what you want. If you were just planning on using a regular old mouse and keyboard and you weren't using the FragFX, you could just go ahead and use a regular mouse or regular keyboard to do the same exact process that I'm going to go through here. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to need to map each one of these empty spots to one of the buttons on your FragFX or on your keyboard and mouse. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to start with the left nunchuck here, and the left trigger button. I'm just going to go ahead and right click with the mouse, and it's going to give me a menu of different types of options here. I'm going to go ahead and select keystroke, and now it's asking me to press the key that I want to map to the left trigger. And so I'm going to take the nunchuck here, and I'm just going to hit the left trigger button, and you can see it mapped it to left as the left control key on my keyboard. I'm going to do the same thing for the left button. Again, keystroke, left button on my nunchuck, and do the same process for everything here. This is the up on my analog stick. This is down on the analog stick. This is left on the analog stick. Right. So you can see it's pretty simple to do. I'm just, each time I'm just right-clicking and selecting keystroke, and then I actually make the action on my nunchuck that I want to correspond with that particular button. Now I've got the D-pad, so that's keystroke, and another keystroke, and another keystroke, and down, okay. And then for here, I've got the select button, okay. And then this, of course, is the, for me, it's the PlayStation button, but it could be the escape key on your keyboard or wherever you want to assign it to. Now we're done with the left nunchuck, but we need to do the mouse section now over here on the right. So there's a couple of spots that are actually keystrokes, and some of them are mouse movements. The first one is the right trigger. Now I'm going to right click on that, and you'll see that instead of keystroke, I'm going to select mouse button. I'm going to go ahead and click on mouse button, and now I'm going to actually click on the left mouse button here, and you'll see that actually just makes it 1. Then I'm going to do the same thing for mouse button 2, which again is the right click now, and you'll see that that is the right mouse button. For the movements, the right analog stick, you're going to want to use mouse up, mouse down, mouse left, and mouse right. So mouse up for the up portion of the right analog, and then mouse right, mouse down, mouse left, and then the center button, the right analog click, is actually a mouse button, and that is going to be your mouse wheel button, okay? So that's 3. If you're using a regular standard mouse and keyboard, you may not have the wheel. If you don't, then obviously you're going to need to figure out if that's going to be some other keystroke on your keyboard to do the knifing action, basically, in first-person shooters. Then we've got, of course, the side buttons on, let me see if I can get a good angle, the side buttons of the mouse here. These are also going to be keystrokes. So I'm going to right-click and go to keystroke. That would be the, I think that's the triangle. Unfortunately, it's worn off so bad on my, I play with this controller so much that I've worn off the indicators. Okay, so we've got F, I've got another keystroke, which is going to be R, and another keystroke, which is going to be space, and keystroke. Okay, and then the final one is going to be another keystroke, and that is the little select button here that we've got, the start button, excuse me, on the mouse. So there we go. There's all of the mappings. Now there is an extra input here, and I don't know if you guys knew this. I didn't for a long time, but I found out that actually the nunchuck has its own, it's got an extra button here, which if I right click and I do keystroke and I shake it, that's actually the G key. Okay, so you can shake your controller to do G. That's pretty awesome. Okay, now you don't have to do that. It's an extra input. It's not necessary. I just like to have it mapped there. Now at this particular point, I strongly suggest that you go ahead and export your layout so that you can remember this. So export the layout, and I've already got it saved here. I'm going to go ahead and click on save again just to overwrite the old one that I've got. So now I've got the Max Aim plugin layout all set up, and I've got it stored just in case something happens. Now the next step is, since the FragFX Shark has the little wheel, and this is the dead zone wheel, there's a bit of a conversion problem you have to get sorted out. Since this is set up as the mouse and keyboard, and the dead zone thing on the side of this doesn't work, you're going to have to go through and set up the mouse settings and the dead zone settings. The way you do that is up here in the layout options, you'll see there is mouse settings. Go ahead and click on the mouse settings, and you can see here this is the layout for the mouse settings. Now I've already got the optimal settings set up that I personally prefer, but honestly this was the closest proximity that I could find to what I actually experienced on the PlayStation 3. I'll show you this. Here, these are the mouse settings that I use. So I strongly recommend, you see this on the left-hand side, you may want to pause the video, go through and set all of the settings up the way, on the settings on the right. You want to use the ones on the left here in the picture. Set this up that way for your own FragFX Shark. So that's what I'm going to go through right now. Let's go ahead and set this all up. That is a 1 to 110. Okay, and then this is going to be all the way up to 6. Okay, 6. Okay, and now the mouse DPI. This is one of those settings that if you've got a lot of jitter in your experience, you definitely want to make sure that you set this DPI setting to, I'd say 5,000 or higher. I might actually go 6,000. 5,000, 6,000 has been about where I found it to be pretty good. If you use the default of 1,800, I've just found so much jitter with it that it's just almost unplayable. Make sure stick size is all the way open. Dead zone is by default at 20. You actually need to bump this up. I say 25 for the X, and then I change the ratio to 1.08 so that you can see the Y is actually 27 and the X is 25. And that seems to be right on. Okay, so there we go. I've got all of my settings set up the way I want them to be. I'm going to go ahead and go back into the G-Tuner Max Aim plugin here, and I'm going to re-export out my layout just so that I don't know if it captures those mouse settings. I've never tried this, but I just want to make sure that those mouse settings are also stay where they're at. Okay, so everything is configured, everything is set up for your actual usage of it. Now you need to go ahead and plug in your Xbox One wired controller here to the back end of the CronusMAX. Okay, so now we've got all of that plugged in. Oops, where'd we go? Plugins, Max AMBI, pull that sucker back up. There we go. Okay. Change the layout back to my, oops, wrong one, my new layout. Okay, let me just make sure my mouse settings are where they're supposed to be. Yes, they are. Okay. All right. So I've got Max Aim plugin. I've got the Xbox One controller here. Kind of hooked up. And what I need to do here is you'll see when you've got the Max Aim VI plugin open, you'll see that there are the 3 lines that go across on this particular on the device. That means that it is ready for mouse input. Okay, it's ready for the capture mode. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug this end of the CronusMAX into my Xbox One. So bear with me here. Okay. Now when you plug it in, initially it's going to say AU. And that's because what you have to do is you have to authenticate your Xbox One controller. So you may have to actually press a button in order to get your Xbox One controller to authenticate through the CronusMAX to your Xbox One. But now you're actually all set. All you have to do now at this point is go ahead and go up to Enter Capture Mode, click on the button, and now this is controlling your Xbox One. I'm going to go ahead and go, and I know you guys can't see this, but I'm going to play some Call of Duty Ghosts. So, I'm done playing Call of Duty Ghosts, and you're probably wondering, how do I get out of this? The Control Escape, if you look on your mapping here, you can see Control Escape is the left trigger and the PlayStation button or Xbox One button. So I'm just going to use this here and press it there, and that's how you get out of capturing your control. And that's it. So there you go. You're all set. I hope you guys enjoyed the setup video. I really strongly suggest you go out and get one of these CronusMAX devices. They're absolutely fantastic. I love having the fact that I can set up my FragFX Shark setup to it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave your comments below in the section. Also, use the ControllerMAX forums, the ControllerMAX.com forums. They've got great guides and setup tips about how to hook up your different devices. If you want to hook up your PlayStation controllers, hook up your mouse and keyboard, different settings, how to set up like if you wanted to hook up your different scripts into your GTuner Pro so that you can do some modifications to your controllers. There's all sorts of information about that, so definitely go check it out.